Talking About My Generation, the podcast with Lee Scriven and Del Bromham.
Hello and welcome to a special edition of Talking About My Generation. Bit of a sad day, if I'm honest, but we're going to try and keep it positive because news broke last week. Actually, if you listened to last week's show, both me and Del had heard the sad news of Graham Deeds passing, or Graham Saunders passing, and but the family hadn't mentioned anything, so we didn't. But there was a little message on the end of last week's show, not to put things off in life, because we were pretty stunned, but you know, we were old rock and rollers, and the show must go on. And it's a bit like that today, really. So we're going to pay tribute to Graham D. It's not the definitive tribute, because Graham played with lots of bands and lots of musicians, and it would probably take me 2 months to try and make sure I covered all the bases. But we've got some people coming in. We've got Pete Lockwood coming in, the godfather of Milton Keynes music, Martin Snape's, another genius, I might add, who is a close friend of Graham. We're just going to chat about Graham in a very positive way, and I hope that doesn't upset the family or anyone listening, because Graham was an avid fan of the podcast, probably the only one, I should say. And in a poignant way, the last thing he wrote to me only a few weeks ago in a message, we were going to be doing some work together, and he said, "Oh, P.S. keep the pods going, they're great." So that's a quite big thing. So I thought, actually, I found it very difficult, obviously being very close to Graham. Got to say thank you to everyone who's been posting on Facebook. They did respect the family. They let the family announce it first, which really pleased me, and there's been some brilliant posts, great posts, and you're seeing and feeling the warmth and engagement Graham had in this, not only in this community in Milton Keynes, but also all over the country as well. But anyway, as per usual, one of my the first guest up is Dylan Jebb, a great friend of mine who knew Graham well, but we have to put him through the mincer as usual. So you get to know, and we get to know a little bit about his musical taste and history. Dylan, first record bought.
Ooh, are we talking single or album?
Yeah, no, I don't mind. You might have got an album first, you might have got a single first.
I think Making Plans for Nigel, XTC, was the first single. And probably album Regatta de Blanc Police.
Wow, really?
Yeah, I think
so.
Is that
the first one? Is that the first album?
Yeah.
That was a good album.
Yeah.
Good album.
Well, I've got another story about that, but that's a long one.
Oh, is it?
Because I went to that gig at the Bowl.
Oh, yeah.
Which was actually on my 14th birthday.
Wow.
And it's too long a story, but it was a funny day because we got blagged in backstage. And I could have met them, but at the time I was a mod, and I just thought it's just not cool.
Not cool.
You know,
no,
despite him being the ace face in Quadrophenia, I thought well, he's not now.
Which I thought was completely miscast. And Sting, no, a person who reads, plays Quadrophenia and reads it like the Bible. It's like no, Sting should never have been anywhere near it. But anyway. I'd imagine this would be your father, who's a great musician and a lovely man as well. But the first band you saw, not the one that inspired you, we're coming on to that, but the first live band you saw.
Yeah, to be honest, I would have seen my dad playing in bands, obviously, but they're... and I wish I knew who the band were. I remember one of the first times I went down Pear Tree Centre as probably 13-year-old. I just walked into one of the rehearsal rooms while a covers band was playing, and they were just unbelievably good, and I just didn't realise, because they were probably playing like chart music or something, so I could sort of make that association between a live band actually playing stuff that I've heard on the radio or on Top of the Pops or something. And I wish I could tell you who that band was, but that was a real moment for me to think you can actually do that, you can stand up and play.
So was that the inspiration moment? Because I started seeing Dr. Feelgood, Del started seeing the brilliant Terry Reid as sort of like, I'm going to do that. Was that moment then, or was there a later band?
No, that was the moment. As a kid, I thought I would like to do that.
Right.
I think the first live band, it was going back to the Bowl again. I went to that first gig at the Bowl, Soul at the Bowl, and that was. Gino Washington was on.
Yeah,
I was just totally blown away. And again, it's just one of those moments where you think, I would definitely like to do that.
Yeah, inspiring character. And we're talking about the Police and the Bowl, and for people, we do get a lot of people listening all around the world and all around the country and that. Sometimes the Police and Sting get a bit of a bad rep, as in, they sort of, it was very contrived how they got to their success, and they make no bones about that. They just saw the young punks, well, if we dress a little bit like them, but we're all brilliant musicians, which they're not, and we can write brilliant songs, which, like the likes of the Adverts and the Contenders couldn't do. We can mop up here. They were real business. I've read the books, and they were real business about it. And I think the NMEs and a few, and then that drifted down. If you read the NME and you got influenced by it, they got a bit of a bad rep. But as Dylan knows well, and Martin Snape, and Pete Lockwood here, so the godfather of Milton Keynes music, they did a brilliant thing when they came to the Bowl that year, that they donated money to Pear Tree Bridge to make what's become a bit of a legendary album, Walk Sense of Humour. And it was brilliant, wasn't it? Because it gave us, we were there, Dennis, when I first met you, it gave all the bands and everybody around the city an enormous lift. I thought it was a fantastic gesture, and it'd be nice to think that all the bands that have followed would have done the same, but no one has. No one has. So fair play to Sting and the guys, and I think they really cared about it.
Strangely, all three of us have got a connection to that album, haven't we? And I think that was a real game changer as well. Thinking that I wouldn't have dreamt for a million years that a band I was in could end up on vinyl,
and end up on the radio, because you got played John Peel.
And all credit to Dick Hemmings for making all that happen, because that money could have gone elsewhere, and he did a very good thing with that.
It was good. Well, it was a good scene down there, wasn't it? I remember you coming in. I remember you coming in to laugh at me, and as most people did when I was pretending to be a drummer and amongst many things. But it was a great little scene. You got involved in, got dancing counterparts with a brilliant band.
I got them played on John Peel, because I knew John, because when I was living in London, I wouldn't have thought that many years later I'd be living just in the next village to one of the places that I used to play, and that was the Nag's Head in Wollaston. Is where I met John Peel, of all places. And I got to know him there, and then of course when I got to do the counterparts, and even your good self, Infectious, recorded that over in Banbury, didn't we?
That's all I know. 1, 2, 3, 4.
I sort of phoned John Peel up. I said, going to send you a cassette, and I couldn't believe it. He phoned me back. He phoned me back. He said, "Oh, we're just going on the air now. We're going to play the dance. I particularly love Jacob's Room."
Yeah, it's a good song, wasn't it?
And I thought, oh, okay. And of course, I phoned Brent up and all that.
Well, it meant the
He's
world.
going to play. Tell all the lads, turn the radio on. They're going to be John Peel was playing you, and he played it a few times actually.
Yeah, it was good. It was the start of the music scene, which we'll talk a little bit more with another influential character who sort of really created the music scene, Pete Lockwood. I keep mentioning him, but he is important. Best gig you've ever seen?
You
love David Byrne, don't you?
I do, yeah. I was going to say, I've got one of my all-time regrets is not being able to see Talking Heads before they split, because I would say they're my favourite band. But I've seen David Byrne dozens of times to make up for it, I think. But I saw his American Utopia tour a couple of years ago down in London, and that was just incredible. I mean, it ended up on Broadway and being a massive success, him playing it every night for months on end, But I don't think that could be beaten for my particular tastes,
Yeah, I thought it would be that. Here's a little one that we play, and we're hoping you might even the numbers up, because Freddie Mercury is walking away with this at the moment. What if you had a chance to bring sadly a rock star back, who you felt, basically that, what rock star who sadly passed away, sadly left the building, would you like to bring back? We both went for Steve Marriott, because we felt when he passed away, and I think we proved it on last week's show when Joe Carter, another brilliant local musician, was actually, we were all three of us at this same gig where we saw Steve Marriott at the OU. You might have been there as well.
Don't think so.
When there was about 70 people in the room.
Gosh.
And I remember feeling that night, oh, come on, this is Steve Marriott. You know, it's like Steve Winwood.
I mean, I was, you know, sort of being a bit older than you, Sam.
Yeah,
I can remember in the 60s when the Small Faces came out. I mean, they were one of the top people. And if you'd have told me that, like 20 years later, he'd be at the Open University and I'd be there opening up for him, it's just ridiculous. You know, Steve Marriott, he shouldn't be there.
No. So one rock star you would bring back?
Not so much a rock star, just someone that was sort of cut down in their prime who would have gone on to do even more fantastic stuff was Amy Winehouse.
Oh, yeah. She hasn't got a shout. That's a great shout.
I think she was so good that she was only ever going to go on and do better and better stuff. So just a real shame, really.
You're right.
Yeah.
Very, very good answer. Okay, we're going to go in moments in time, and obviously the big moment in time this week was sadly we all got to learn of the sad passing of a brilliant man and a brilliant musician. I call him musician as well as a vocalist, Graham D. But I'll keep a couple going here so people will get it out. It's just an interesting one. 2016, which I never knew, and I've read up a lot on this gentleman. David Bowie was the first day of an auction of art that he owned. Okay, how much do you reckon he went for his art collection?
No, I didn't know that. Go on.
Yeah, £25 million. So he was a clever bunny, wasn't he?
Blimey.
They do say, buy art, because I don't know if there's a tax break in it or anything. But I just thought, wow, I didn't know that. I know through all my studying of Freddie Beretti, and then you got to read about David Bowie when you're trying to find out about it, that he was a very educated man, as he loved books. Books were his passion in life. He could read 3 books a day, David, and most days he did. If you wanted to find David Bowie wherever he lived, all you had to do was go and have a cup of coffee in Waterstones and he'd have walked in. He just bought books. So I just thought that was interesting. And then here's one for you, Del. 1965, today, this day we were recording it, the final recording sessions for Rubber Soul took place. Groundbreaking album. Do you remember listening to that the first time?
Oh yeah, I do remember it. I remember that. I used to, funny enough, the guy ended up being the bass player with Stray. We used to go around to his house, and I remember his brother had just bought it, and we sat and listened to it. So as Dylan, you're a bass player. It was fascinating at the time because on the Rubber Soul album there's a track called, but it's got on the things fuzz bass, but it was the Gibson EBO bought out a guitar with the fuzz built into it.
Really?
Yeah. Of course, being kids, we want one of them. Of course, my bass player said, I want to get a fuzz bass. I can't remember the name of the song. It's the George Harrison song, isn't it? I think.
Come on, Pete. Think for yourself.
Think for yourself. That's the one. Yeah.
Yeah. Well done. See, I told you he was good, didn't I?
I don't know how you do it for the money.
What a gentleman, what a legend. But yeah, some great tracks on that, and as I understand it, again, I read a lot of books. People won't believe that because they just think I'm an idiot, but I do read a lot of books, and I believe that's the start of what they call a trilogy, where Beach Boys, Brian Wilson, heard Rubber Soul and went, oh my God, the game's changing, and then put out Pet Sounds, and then the Beatles went, oh my God, the world's changing, and then put out Pet Sounds.
Shows how old I am, because something else I've just remembered was that this was before cassette players. I remember getting his brother to do a reel-to-reel tape of Rubber Soul so I could take it home and play it on my Fidelity reel-to-reel tape recorder that my nan bought me for my birthday.
I think that's the thing. It's worth saying stuff like that. That people forget that how expensive buying a record was. For teenagers, it was. Unless your nan, chucked you a quid, you weren't going to buy one.
Having a record player to play.
And have a record player there. So recording like that, the little, like tiny little cassettes about the size of my iPad sitting there, where you'd hold it next to the radio because you couldn't go online and listen to it again. You just thought. millions of people must have recorded the weekly chart show, which is nationally.
I did. Yeah.
Forget Antiques Roadshow on a Sunday in the 60s. Sunday, the chart rundown was
Thursday night, Top of the Pops,
right.
Speaker right next to the telly, right, and you try and miss out what the blokes were saying at the beginning.
Yeah.
Try and cut out the thing. But I dreaded someone coming on that I liked at 7:45 because my dad had a cuckoo clock that was right above the television set, and of course, just as it came up, bloody, it's the Kinks' latest record. Go, that's so, folks.
I bet every time you listen to that song,
wait for the cuckoo.
Is this the cuckoo mix? But it is. I mean, it is remarkable. I mean, millennials will have no idea how hard it was to listen to music. You know, you had these terrible transistor radios, Radio Caroline and Luxembourg. You know, and when you think what they've got now, you know, it's amazing. But it made you want it more. Well, it made you appreciate it more when you did hear it.
Going back to John Peel playing that Warped Sense of Human album, I managed to catch him introducing our track when he played it, because I always had a blank cassette queued up in my tape radio player. So when he said, and I'm going to be playing so and so, I just like get ready with the pause button, and I got it. Yeah.
Great, mate. I mean, it used to mean. I think it still does to bands, even today. That to hear your song on a radio is a lovely thing, isn't it? It is. It's a really nice. I remember, Clive Dickens at Horizon Radio, and we're going to talk about the Blues Collective. Probably when we were our best. I don't think we were ever at our best. But on top of our game, and they played "God's Only Lonely Girl" was a single one. And I just, every time I was in the car and it just came on, I just had to pull the car over. It was like, I've done it. It's like, you've actually done something. So it's really powerful. Right, let's get on to say the sad passing of Graham D. Obviously not going to go into the details of how he passed or anything like that, but it was a blow, a massive shock, I would say. So we learned about it a week ago, and then very quickly it sort of deteriorated and Graham did leave the building. Very sad, but we're going to try and be, like we are already, sort of positive. Dylan, first time you met him, I'll go on about when I met him at the end.
I think I probably bumped into him at a couple of parties or whatever before, but I've got a very clear memory of him doing his solo act when he would do like Billy Bragg songs, his acoustic guitar and that. In fact, he supported us, at the time, in the barn behind the vaults, and it was a packed evening. It was when we as a band were doing very well, big local following. And bless him, he was doing the support slot, and I was taking a blind bit of notice of him. And I kind of noticed that, he can sing. That's that Graham guy, he can sing, because I hadn't seen him perform before. And then he's playing Elvis Costello's Alison. And when he got to the line, how's it going? Sometimes I wish that I could stop you from talking. Yeah. He just stopped playing his guitar, left a gap and said, sometimes I wish I could stop you from talking, and left it. And the whole crowd shut up, turned around and watched the rest of his set. Yeah. And I just thought, he knows exactly what he's doing. He'll be a good front man kind of thing. And then he went on to form the Contenders, didn't he?
Yeah, very sort of Elvis Costello. And very inspired by Big George again. Yeah. They talk about George and Graham, they were very close, and he was very inspirational. Yeah. To him, same sort of thing. The first time I actually met Graham is not when he was performing. I met him around Jamie, the bass player at Fictitious, and Tiggles. He had a flat on Oldbrook, and it was near the end of Fictitious, and just went around there like you do, took a 4 top brass or whatever, just go and have a night in with the boys, and I can remember it like I see Jamie going, this is Graham, he's a good guy. And what was nice about that is that I really got to know him very quickly, because we just talked music, as you did then, and even though we were punk rockers, and Graham was a punk rocker in his attitude, he didn't dress like one. But then obviously we started talking about the Beatles and soul, the Who, and that, and I just thought, what a great guy, And then, as you say, then he supported us, and the Contenders came along, really good band. But I got to admit that I didn't really. I mean, I knew he could sing. I didn't know he was that good. if you get my drift. I mean, I think with Billy Bragg and the Contenders, and I will talk to Pete Lockwood about this as well, because he was one of the few at that time. Him and Pete Lockwood is sitting there, and I'll bring him on in a little while. They were telling me, Graham Day, what a voice. And I'm thinking, I can't really hear it. It's fine.
Yeah.
I must have been in the bar when that bit went on.
Yeah.
As well. And, but it was, I know he could sing, but I didn't know he could sing that well. And I don't know if you remember it, then the first rehearsal of the Blues Collective, I believe, was down at this is the one I remember. I was down at the OU in the church.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it was only, I can't remember who was there. But the point I'm going to make is I've been married to my girlfriend. I like calling her my girlfriend because she was my girlfriend at 17, and here we are, 50 years on, still my girlfriend. But she's a woman of little praise. She doesn't praise, doesn't say too many nice things to me, even though I love her a bit, in an artistic way. But what I remember is, and again, taking into account, I was getting the collectors together and chemistry and who can I get in. Tiggle had, he'd flown the nest, and Glenn really wasn't it. Glenn O'Halloran, another great front man. Actually, he would have been ideal for it. It wasn't his cup of tea, and I just thought, actually, Graham's all right. Because of that conversation around the flat. I'm thinking, he'll be all right. He'll do a job. And I remember all doing there, and we obviously played "Give Me Some Love," and then it was like, holy shit. This guy, Pete and George are right. This guy can really sing. All the band were just going, whoa, hang on a minute. And I'll never forget, got back in the car, and Lorna, my wife, just turned around at me and said, he's effing brilliant. And I thought, wow, okay, that means it. And it was. I didn't really recognise the voice. Del, I'm going to say he's world class. And what I mean by that is Graham's voice and his stagecraft as well. He could have sung anywhere in the world.
Yeah. No, I think I said the same to you. I consider he was world class.
Yeah.
And I don't know whether it was a natural thing or whether, as you're saying earlier on, he was trying to be Billy Bragg a little bit.
Yeah, he was. He's playing it down.
He kind of found his feet, and I think it's probably due a lot to the Blues Collective being able to stretch out, because he was a great soul singer, actually. And when I say soul, I don't just mean the sound of it, but it's from singing it from the heart, soul, and that's what struck me about it. And world class.
There's let me come in. Only two other singers I've played with, and I'll mention this one because we've both played with her, who I'm just thinking you are world class, and that's Holly Brewer.
Yeah.
Well, I've had the same feeling going, holy Moses.
Yeah.
What is this?
Skin on the back.
And I think there's
neck,
another lady I've worked with, which Martin, we can tell you that Martin will back me up on this, is Sarah Kumo, who came in and did that version. It's just like, whoa. We're both from Milton Keynes. And that's not a big thing, but I'm just saying that's like when you just go, whoa.
Yeah. There's a lot of talent around here. There's a lot of talent around here if you start writing it all down.
Like Holly was just like amazing voice, and great stagecraft again, and a great with Sarah. The full package, not someone who's singing it with their back to you who's all shy.
Yeah.
But sorry, I cut you off.
Well, I was just going to say, I mean, having seen Graham perform, because we would then sort of, after that first Har gig that saw him, we'd then go and seek him out and get to know him, and saw him perform quite a lot. But as you say, he never really went for it with his voice with the Contenders, I don't think, or his solo work. And I do wonder now whether, when you put him in that rehearsal room with 18 other musicians, a wall of sound behind him, whether he had to project, whether he had to kind of.
Well, George knew it was there, and it'd be interesting to talk to Pete. George, and definitely Pete, knew it was there. Yeah. I must have heard him doing stuff in the studio, because I can remember like I see George going on and on, going, he's all right. Calm down, George. You know how George got on. But then, of course, as it panned out, both George and Pete were exactly right.
Just going, in recent times, he sort of came out of the Milton Keynes area and he joined a band that I kind of know of, if you like, from my era, called the Climax Blues Band. And I can always remember I was doing a festival and Climax Band were on, and it was funny because I won't mention his name, but someone who's very high up in the music business said to me, "Who's that guy? Who's that guy singing in Climax?" I said, "Oh, he's a friend of mine from Milton Keynes." "Is he?" I said, "Yeah." And they couldn't believe this because he's just started singing with them at the time, But he took them the Climax Band, an old established band somewhere else.
Oh yeah,
It gave them a bit of credibility because all of a sudden they had not only a singer but, as you say, a great front man. He could get the crowd in, and they hadn't had that for years.
But I've got a similar story, and Lee will remember this fondly, when we supported the Drifters at Campbell Park. Massive open air gig. Also, everyone's there to see the Drifters. We're just the support band. And Graham's up there in his bright yellow zoot suit, would you call it?
Suit,
you know, we used to call it the banana suit. And the Drifters had turned up in their white limo, and they're all backstage having a drink and all the rest of it. And as we're going through the set, and Graham's belting it out song by song, one Drifter at a time is appearing in the wings to watch him. And by the end of the set, they were just all stood there just staring at it, like, how can a white guy have a voice like that?
That's basically what I'm saying. It's mad. And I've got to add to that, as in Desmond Decker at final.
Yeah.
Just stood by the side. I think he was trying to make sure we didn't play the Israelites because we kept doing little teasers. But then when I think back, I think they were into the brass section at the band, but you couldn't. Yeah. And I think there you go. When I'm saying world class, I'm not saying that because he's one of my best friends or I'm just trying to big him up. No, trust me. And I think most people who know Graham.
It was funny. He had the yellow suit. He had a red one. I'm not saying it behind his back, because I said to him, Graham, you look like Mr. Pepper Army Man in that. And he looks at me like,
I have called him Graham D as his stage name, and Graham Saunders, but someone who was really close to him for a long, long time and we've known friends all their life is Kaz Tricks, Dame Kaz Tricks as I call her. She called him Stick Man.
Stick Insect.
Stick Insect. Which I thought would be a bit disrespectful to open with that. The other thing I want to mention is I look at Graham and I found it difficult all the time. Peter, love this. I love it. My ego doing what I do. And as in, he was a proper musician, as in, no band owned him.
Yeah.
And we all wanted to own him.
Oh, yeah.
Because he was brilliant. I look back at like Rod Stewart's careers and proper singers' careers. They're clever enough to just go, well, no, I'll come sing with you, but like, I'm me kind of thing. And he played in some great band, Backstreet, musically.
Oh yeah, I mean,
Another Planet. I mean, I used to love that band. I was a
promoter. That's when I first saw him, actually.
Yeah, I used to love that band, and as a promoter, like it would be like 5 to 9 when they're meant to be on, you know, because they were there for the money, mate. And I'm sorry, guys, they weren't there to have a beer and like the Collective and have a party and all that. So you hear this rumbling up the stairs, and they come in, and then they get the 45. Off, I mean, like 20 minutes, be back on. But what a band, and Eddie and Badger's Soul Band, which I think Graham actually preferred singing in because they were much musically suited his style and probably a lot calmer than the Collective. But I want to talk about that with Pete when he comes on, because Pete was in that band. But I thought that was interesting. No one really ever owned. We all loved him being a band, but we didn't own him. And
and I'd also like to say how generous he was with that, because he might be, with the Climax Blues Band or something, but it'd always take time to come and help us out with a gig in Milton Keynes or before his Climax years. He was always with other bands, like you say, but phone him up and he would turn up. So.
He was great. I mean, he's a mentor to Sharon Watson.
Yeah,
Sharon wants to go, and she messaged me. It was lovely, and and I did think she would, because he really helped her. I mean, I can remember when she burst on the stage, she was like, wow, who's this voice? But he took her one side and really helped her, and that was in his nature, because we're talking a lovely man, a gentleman, which are rare. I want to say rare, but they are quite rare in the music in the industry, because it can make you a bit moody and grumpy, but he always remained. Really lovely all the time. I mean, what were you in, Dylan? 15, 16 years sort of being in a band. I never fell out of him. I drove him mad. I know I did at times. I do that to everyone. And at times he drove me mad. But we never, ever argued. I remember this is interesting because we're talking about the soul stuff and that, is I remember one big disagreement because the collective, we were so loud. We were still punks, and Graham was a soul, trying to be a soul band, but we were still a punk band behind him with our attitudes.
But we played every song at twice the speed it should be.
Probably twice as loud as it should have been, blah, blah, blah. And Graham, quite rightly, said, we got to calm it down and we got to slow it down. And luckily, I got a video cassette machine. I'm thinking back now, it must have cost me £100 a month. I think what you used to pay, wasn't it, to have a video? Going back to that recording thing, I used to record everything. And at that time, they rerun Ready, Steady, Go. And if you know Ready, Steady, Go, there was a special, Otis Redding.
Yeah, I remember that.
I love that. And I was arguing, going, no, soul music's not, tinky, 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 ting, and 6-string basses. No, it's... it's like that. And he's going, no, it ain't. I said, come round my house. Because he only used to live up the road, Connyborough. And you know where I'm going. Came down, put Otis Redding on, and he went, okay. He hadn't seen that kind of soul.
Yeah.
Oh, and the James Brown stuff as well.
And the James,
it would be 100 miles an
Brown,
hour on stage,
Brown.
wouldn't it?
Yeah, and it's like, no, that's to me, that's my song. I get where you're coming from, level 42, and it's all lovely and funky. But no,
Gino, you said about Gino, he was like that.
Yeah.
And he sort of got it, and he took it on. But again, I keep talking about Pete Walker, I just have him on really. But I noticed in a post that Pete put out last week saying he was the Blues Collective. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, absolutely.
Yeah.
Your ego can go, oh no, well, I was in there, I was doing this. No. And we, there on a previous show, if you're coming for the first time, go and have a listen to the one where we compare music and football together. Right? And you know where I'm going. Graham D was a centre forward. Okay, he was a centre forward. You've got to have good defenders, good bass players, bass drummers, blah 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 behind you. But if you're going to go somewhere, you've got to have him, and he was. And I don't know about you, Dylan. The reason I think I enjoyed the collective so much is that even with Har and definitely with Fictitious and all the other bands, Eddie Stanton that I played in, I was always pretty nervous when I was on stage that I was going to make a mistake or the band were going to make a mistake. But because, and I will include yourself and Blair on drums and that, when we just got it right and you had Graham, it's just so relaxed. And that's why I love him, and that's why I can thank him. I'd never been so relaxed on a stage because he was so good. Yeah,
and I think one of the things that he used to do so well on stage with the collective was break everything down in the middle of a song, and he would kind of conduct it. He would, point at me and Blair, so it's just bass and drums, get the audience clapping along. Then he'd bring the brass in or whatever. But he controlled that stage. I know we used to make a joke of the big finger, but that we used to carry around to point at who's getting the solo next. But in general, Graham was commanding all that, and as you say, that just took the pressure off everyone else, because
and took the pressure off the band and made the band be loose, and that's what I think the audience sort of liked, that we were so loose and it's become a pie. I've always felt a little bit guilty when I saw him in the Climax Blues Band at the Stables last time I saw him perform live. He was so good. And he got what he wanted. This is quite good, following what I said about Otis Redding, where the band were playing professional levels, should we say, at professional tempo, and he just absolutely shone like a light. You were there, Del, you played with him, and I sat there and I thought,
Is that the night I got up?
I think it's just like, perhaps, did we hold him back? Did I hold him back? Because we did, I'd say he was in other bands, but I always thought, this is the band perhaps Graham should have been in. He
just phoned me up. He said, I'm doing the Stables. I said, yeah, I know, I'm coming. He said, you're coming? I said, yeah. He said, you bring a guitar with you? I said, why? He said, I just want you to get up and play a few tunes with you, just liven it up a bit. I thought, liven it up a bit, and I won't say what the conversation I had with him, but that's why I ended up.
Yeah, it was good.
It's great.
But I mean, I think if The Voice, the TV programme of Britain's Got Talent, would have been around, I think he'd have had a really good chance. There just wasn't anything.
Did you do a bit of coaching on X Factor on one of them?
I think he did it, but he never went once. And I think X Factor was a little bit. Was a bit on there. What's if there'd have been an early programme like that, and I think if he'd have gone on, especially The Voice, where it's all about the voice. It's not about. I prefer that one out of them all because I think it's fair. They're just judging voice. And but quickly wrap up this bit. I mean, I'm not criticising him. He had a brilliant life. He had a great life, and he did what he wanted to do. And I admire any musician who is a musician all their life, because that is difficult. Yeah. That is extremely difficult to do, and it takes a lot of determination. And he was happy. I remember, there's a good story here, Dylan, you'll remember that, again, it's a nice story, so I'm going to say it's about Graham. After one of our rehearsals, we always wanted a beer, me and Dylan and Gaz and what have you, and we went out a beer, and we're sitting around the table, and I don't know how it got around the conversation, but I was a little bit older, obviously, older than Dylan and Gaz, and going, oh, what do you want to do in life? You know, you're at that age when you're thinking, what am I going to do in my life? You know, I can't remember what I said. Dylan might remember what he said, but anyway. But two funny things come out of it was that we spoke to Kaz, and she said, I want to go and live in Wales. And me and Dylan being Dylan, we just thought that was hilarious, and just, what do you want to go there for? You know, there's nothing in Wales. What you want to love? I won't go into it. I might get critical. Welsh, will be after me. But we found it very strange. And then Graham was like, Graham, what do you want? And he just said, I want a gravel drive. Okay, so we go, what are we talking about? Graham, no, look. And he done it so beautifully. He said, I want to be in a nice car, and as I come up the drive from a gig, I can hear the Stones on my tyres. Yeah, that's it. This is Graham, who didn't own a bicycle. We're thinking, no way, mate. And then, come forward a few years, he's fallen in love with Karen, got married, he's really happy. The wedding was brilliant, it was like a massive gig, and I don't think he'd ever been happier. Anyway, we're having a beer during the wedding, and he just turned to me, and I said, you happy then, Graham? He went, yeah, guess what? And I went, what? He goes, I got my gravel drive. He did. Where she lived, she had a gravel drive, and I thought, yay! And to double that up, Kaz did go and live in Wales. So there you go. But great stories. But yeah, I mean, I was surprised he didn't do a solo album, Dylan. Are you?
No, I mean, what I'd like to say is, for me personally, I've written mediocre songs all my adult life, really, and he was always really encouraging and would always offer to sing them, because I can't sing for toffee myself. And we always used to talk about, and incidentally, he would turn those mediocre songs into much better mediocre songs. But we always talked about collaborating and writing together, and that's a big regret for me that I suppose the only one we did was Syrup on the album, which was a bit of a kind of joke song, really. But
I mean, it's on the album. I remember it was a remarkable album, as in, it's a great song. It's not a remarkable album in a musical sense, but we did it we did it in a week. And Graham did all the vocals, I think, just one night or 2 nights.
And all the backing vocals.
All the backing vocals.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Apart from Lauren and
so there's no can I try that again, please? He was just nailing it. And the one to come on to the song, which is one of my favourite Graham D songs, which is written by Del, If I've Ever Loved Somebody. That was a funny session, do you remember it? As in, George had scored a goal in football, George Webley, and done his back in, if you remember. It was such a great goal that when he was celebrated, he fell on his back. No, this is true. The Blues Collective used to play football as well, and he fell on his back, so he could hardly walk, and he had a walking stick. And Richard Robinson was a brilliant engineer. Didn't get enough credit for doing the album. I'm always saying this. I'm sorry, Richard, if you're listening, but I'm saying it now. You were absolutely massive in it. And we're recording it. And there was, as you get in studios, there was a little bit of friction between George being George and Richard being Richard.
Yeah, a little bit.
Just a little bit. You could chainsaw the tension. And we started doing the song, and I don't know, and I think George sort of put his walking stick onto the mixing desk to sort of pull it down. And Richard was not having any of it, and he's got up and he's gone. Yeah, he's gone. He's just stormed out, and Graham's in the other room going, hello, anyone in there? And George thankfully just put pressed the record button and recorded it. And that song, I was saying to Del, which is, I've had requests over the years, probably about a dozen, people to play at their weddings and their funerals, which is like, thank you, so great. If you ever want to hear Graham, it's a great song. It must be nice hearing him sing it.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. I mean, and what the other thing is, for people who don't, outside this area, who might be watching this on the other side of the world, as I know there are people watching there. So George Webley, who we're talking about, was a producer, also a musician too, and he produced album.
Yeah, remarkable. Yeah.
And when I remember you called me and said that, you know, I need a couple of songs, and I gave you 8. And If You Ever Love Somebody, when I wrote it, was, and you mentioned Otis Redding, I was thinking of it more up tempo. So it ended up being a ballad. But I said before, Lee and I were talking before this. A great compliment actually was that Graham said to me, he actually did love singing the song, which is a great compliment. But he put like a CD together or whatever, and he said it was like his audio CV rather thing. And he used to give it to people. This is what I'm doing, and he'd always include that song on there. But it's a simple song, but it's his delivery, which makes that song even better than it is.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah. Okay, well, look, Dylan, thank you. We're going to wrap
Thanks
up.
for having me.
We're going to do a little bit of a swap over here. Martin, you're going to... I know, actually, I'll have Pete up first. Pete, can you come up first? Yeah, Pete Lockwood's going to come up. While Pete's getting his... so it's the live album.
Yes,
Stray live album.
Yes.
We're going to come back to Graham, obviously, just while we're changing around. Is it out now, Dylan?
No, it's not out yet. It will be out probably in about 10 days' time, I would imagine.
Great.
Yeah, it will be on at the moment either at the gigs, the live shows, or on our new website, which is also being launched at the same time.
Excellent.
So it's just watch the social media and it will be up and running. But it's called One for the Road, and it was recorded live at Esquires in Bedford a couple of months ago. As I said last week, it's Esquires is on Bromham Road, so no connection there. But do you know, I should really buy a house in Bromham.
Get your mic a bit nearer,
just wind up the postman.
Yeah. I saw some of the promos going. They look great. Yeah.
Yeah,
Facebook looks really good.
It sounds good as well. All courtesy of Simon and Lucas Ronaldo in their studio.
Yeah.
Great. It's great, and the tour I believe is just about sold out now. So
brilliant.
that's good.
Oh, it must be great. I do envy you. Don't envy being in the back of the van or getting home at 3 o'clock in the morning. But I envy being on a stage with a full house.
But for Milton Keynes people, the band are playing at the stables in end of February. So there's a chance you can come along and still throw things at us.
Yeah.
Money preferably, but you know.
Okay, let's get back to Graham Saunders. Joined by the Godfather, Milton Keynes music, brilliant journalist.
Codfather, that's he smells of fish. Codfather. Hello.
Hello this morning.
Hello.
Yeah, brilliant journalist, great musician, and I think I'd be right in saying you're a great fan of Graham.
Yeah.
You must be saddened by the
You're saying about a great musician. I have to interject here because I was standing waiting to come in, and I thought, we've got a little band here. Depending on which instrument he wants to play.
Yeah, multi-instrumentalist. Yeah, but you must say, I know I saw your post and I thought it was great. Put up, and but yeah, you were shocked and saddened, I imagine.
Yeah. I mean, I first came across him when I wrote for the Gazette, the Around and Around page, and he probably sent in more things than Big George on his behalf in the early days, and I had a cassette which I've digitised and sent to Kaz this morning.
Oh, lovely.
And great tracks, and hopefully she'll play them on her radio show.
Oh, that'd be nice.
But I remember there was once an article I did, because I've been sent all this stuff, that they were going to America, Graham Dean, the Contenders, and they weren't going to come back until they were successful. And of course they were back like 3 or 4 weeks later, because I think that's when the Blues Collective rehearsals started.
Oh, right.
And they were in Walton Church.
Yeah, it was, wasn't it? Yeah.
I remember going down for the very first one.
Yeah,
There was Joe and Tracy and Dermot and a selection of guitarists, and it was so incredibly loud. And guys, you've got one microphone for the brass. And it pretty much stayed that way.
It never got any better.
Yeah, we need 2 on the bass drum, 2 on the snare.
But I do recall you saying that you recognised him as a great singer.
Oh yeah, I mean he as I say, he owned the Blues Collective. I think.
But even before then, did you pick up on it? Am I getting that wrong? I just seem to remember yourself and George mentioning it before.
Yeah, it was great.
The Contenders and
he knew what he wanted to do.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
and obviously, before the collective, it was very much the Elvis Costello route and that sort of style of things. But so once the collective started, and with a bit of the hype in the paper, suddenly there's 500 people in Wolverton campus, and and he rose to the occasion.
Oh yeah, I might be honest. I never, because he'd been so self-constricting in the Contenders and Billy Bragg. I was pleasant, loved it. With both of us just jumping around like lunatics, as in, wow, he's got brilliant stagecraft. I wouldn't have seen that from watching him as Billy Bragg or in the Contenders, but he really knew his stuff, Yeah,
I mean, it was such a successful band, with so many people, all with the suits and that, and held together with Dylan on the
held
bass.
together with sellotape,
I wonder if it's something was to do with the fact that prior to that, he was standing playing a guitar.
Yeah,
If he put the guitar down, it was probably the freedom he didn't realise he needed, but he didn't have any backing, so he didn't need
But
it
equally, Del, sometimes a lot of people go, no, I want my guitar back. I can't do it without my prop.
Yeah.
It's funny you talk about a collective, but just here, and we're just looking over, you can't see it. The point is over. Thank God, it's still there, the point. And one of my favourite, actually, I think this would be my favourite. I've had so many memories of Graham. I could be here for hours talking about them and it'd just bore you. But this is a nice little one. I think of sum up both of us in a way, but more Graham as well. But the point, and we played the point. The collective got to play the point. I think it was through Gary Smart. And the point is a venue right in the centre of Milton Keynes. It was the first multi-screen cinema in the country. And it was very posh. And if you wanted to go to the nightclub there, you had no chance if you were in a band, as in you had to dress like an estate agent. So it's what I'm trying to say is very exclusive. But because we had a great mate in there working it, they gave us a Thursday night, the Blues Collective. And it's like, wow, we got the point, And we were talking about this, Pete, last time you were on, that back in them days, you'd like to poster. You used to go around and do the posters.
Yeah.
And we had these huge ones. Remember them? Dylan's in here, shout out, loudly, that we had these huge posters to be bigger and better than any other band. Before we just get bigger, better, massive posters. And we're talking bigger than what that's behind you, Dylan. All right, we're not talking on a little A. And anyway, as we did, how we never got arrested for it, I don't know. These bus stops in the city, we just went there. And we're putting this, it was quite a job. It's a two-man job with rollers. It weren't just like we're making sure no one was going to get them down. Anyway, so we're outside the point, we're across the road, and we're putting it up. And then we turn round, and they used to have the only digital screen in the city. And I don't know if Gary was looking out the window. And this is no word of a lie, looking out the window. You know what's coming. Thursday, 19th of October, the Blues Collective. And I'll tell you what, me and him were like, like 5-year-olds at a wedding. When you're running along and sliding along the floor. That's what we were like for about 5 minutes. You were just like the kids in us. Yeah! I never forgot it. So Gary, if you're listening, thank you. But I think that sort of sums up. We were just how excited he was to be, doing what we're doing and that. So, do you think? You had some great times with a soul band with him, didn't you? Do you think he was really good in that? I'd say he suited his style a little bit better than the collective, I think.
Yeah, he just came along and said, can I sing with you? And I think you came
along. Go away.
You brought your congas.
Yeah, I love the band. Badger was absolutely brilliant. Eddie and Badger, a couple of legends. Absolutely brilliant band.
And through that, he ended up working with my brother, doing tracks with him. Yeah. Which I didn't know they'd done because I don't know, it just never got shared. When I was clearing my mum's house, I found this cassette, and I thought, what's that? I think it was called the Prince Regent Sings, because they used to call him the Prince Regent from Blackadder 3. And there's 5 tracks on it, which again I've digitised and sent to Kaz.
Oh, well done.
And they are real class.
Yeah, I bet that would be your brother. They're going to be. Yeah, your brother.
So, they might.
And you're at the Gazette, and we have to mention this. One of the Gazette's greatest stories was nicked out of a certain idiot called the Penguin on the line. And one little line saying, "Oh, Granddaddy's taking Michael Bolton. He's nicked his song," and it was Tom Richmond, I believe. Do you remember Tom Tom Richmond, the journalist. I think it was Tom. Anyway, ended up front page news the following week in the Gazette, and it went everywhere. That basically what happened was Graham wrote a song, How Am I Supposed to Live Without You? That was the name of the song. Put it on a demo in 1980, sent it to EMI Records, as we all did. You know, I'm the next big thing, can you sign me up? Never heard of Dickie Bird. And then lo and behold, 1990, Michael Bolton releases a song, How Am I Supposed to Live Without You? And the chorus and some of the verses, absolutely identical. And it was all great fun. We had, I remember my little house at Connieborough, Anglia News at 2:30, BBC News at 3. Oh, it was amazing. But fair play to Graham. We sat there and we talked about it, and he just went, whatever. Yeah, he wasn't raging or looking at this to be I'm going to get 50 quid out of this or whatever. And I thought, wow, I don't know if I could have done that. But I think that shows you the lovely nature of what Graham D had. And what was funny about that story was it was perfect timing. Now, we've spoken about George Webley again, as Dale explained, absolutely legendary figure in music, not just in Milton Keynes, brilliant producer. And a great blagger, and he pushed you to do things, and you got to do this, you got to do that. Great sort of creative person. He was on the Derek Jameson show, and he was the band on it, which really sort of earned him a lot of money, and he loved it. Who's booked on 2 weeks after the story? Michael Bolton. So Scribo being Scribo going, right, George, we got him.
Do they mean me?
Tell Derek about the story. And he just went white, George, bless him. That's the only time I've ever seen him bottle it, as in, no, Lee, no. And I think somewhere along the line, there was a line that come back, and just Michael Bolton just thought, well, I'm sorry, I don't think he did. I think in music, we've spoken about this before, as in subliminally you can take things in. And he must have heard it, because it was so remarkably the same.
Or the writer of the Michael Bolton one had heard it.
Yeah, no,
adapted it.
Adapted it. But I thought that. But he was a lovely man, wasn't he? But
yeah, and he's had a career in music.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
That's what he wanted to do.
Yeah,
and all his life he's been able to front bands. Backstreet. I remember he used to go see them regularly.
Great band. Yeah.
And then getting the job with Climax.
Yeah.
And to be able to be a musician all your life is something that most of us want to do, and we don't all get the chance to carry on from when we were younger.
So you have to have a lot of self-belief, don't you?
Yeah.
To do that. Like actors, the acting world, I don't know how they do it, but but musicians' world is equally tough. Right, Pete, I'm going to bring Martin in, because we're going to come on time. Sure. But you can stand next to Martin when you come in, and then we'll talk to you both. But just bring Martin in. The book, Dale, the book's still out? Name the book. Come on, this is it. Yeah. Christmas is coming. We need to push the book.
Rock and Roll Survivor is the book. It's still out, and it's, to my surprise, still selling. That will also be at the shows I'm doing, so if anyone wants a copy, and I'll sign it for them and all that. It's good.
It's still going out. Where can you order the book? Sorry.
You can order it through Weimar Publishing. Yeah. I believe you can get it on Amazon.
There you go.
And I've just been in Waterstones, and they haven't got it in at the moment, but they did have it. So perhaps they sold out.
Ring up your old management. To have a word.
Do you know what I was thinking the other day? What I should have done was brought a couple of copies with me and just stuck them on the shelf.
Yeah.
And to see if anyone goes up to the counter and says, can I have this one? It's not on our list.
Right, we're joined by Martin. Martin, let's have a little break from Graham a minute, because I hope you saw it. How was the Bruce Springsteen film for you?
I loved it.
Great.
But then I probably was always going to. I can qualify that. It was...
What's the name of it again? Sorry.
It's called Deliver Me From Nowhere, which
right.
is not the greatest thing about it, the title. And it's based on a very short period in his life, post doing The River. Mm-hmm. He started writing in Nebraska, which was his... recorded on a Porter studio.
Yeah, that's just what I've been reading about.
All very odd, and he had a major mental health crisis at that time. And not many people, even devotees of Bruce, I think they learn an awful lot from him, about him watching this film.
So it's a good film as a film. It's not. Is it? Do you think fans are perhaps criticising it, or critics that are criticising? He wanted something else, but he's just made a good film about a period in time. That's
Absolutely.
what I'm taking from it.
I, for example, and it's just my personal opinion, I thought the Queen movie was awful. It was bombastic. It was every cliche in the book.
Well, it was Emmerdale, wasn't it? It was Emmerdale with music. Yeah, well, I preferred Rocket Man because I thought Elton took more risks.
And they were marketing for me, they were marketing to a younger audience. And when you get to that level, you don't have to do that. You can be classy, which is exactly what Springsteen is. Great dignity.
Well, he loved it, so, you know.
Yeah. If you want, there are great. It's worth saying that Jeremy Allen White, that plays him, I was shocked at how good he was.
Well, there you go. That's an acid test.
Apparently, he worked with a vocal coach for 6 months, 7 days a week,
and guitar, learning to play guitar.
And learning to play guitar. I mean, great testament to him. It is a wonderful performance. But what he does, I think, he doesn't overact, because Bruce is a very quiet, private person. I mean, one of his great quotes is, he said, I'm Bruce Springsteen for 3 hours a day. I wish I could access him for those other 21. Which I loved, but very true.
Yeah.
And they're coming from New Jersey, very humble origins. All the problems he had with his father, who was a bipolar alcoholic. Yeah. It turns out it was very, very difficult. But music was his escape, like it is for so many people.
But a good film.
I loved it, but if you want the biopic cliches, it's not going to work for you. If you want a great
I get the feeling this film's going to be one of those that grow. As in, they come out and then, the greatest song that was The Greatest Showman, everybody banned. So don't go and say, and then it became one of the most successful musicals in the history of entertainment. But I'm not saying Bruce is good. I get a feeling sometimes these films need a time of bed in, and then people see them on Netflix, YouTube, or whatever, and then it becomes, actually, this film's brilliant because the hype's gone.
Yeah, it won't look old and awful in 15 years' time. It will still be, I think, a very good film, which I'm sure is what Bruce wanted to make. Yeah,
because I'm going to leave it a little bit, because no matter what critics do, they do get in your head.
Yeah,
they do influence you. That's why they're still around, and people go and think, I'll leave that one then. That's why I left the Bohemian Rhapsody on some levels. It was like, thinking I don't going to like it. Though they were praising it, I sort of got the feeling like you did. I mean, there was a few bits in there where you're just laughing. When I've been trying to do a story about someone and trying to stick to the truth, that was like, no, I'll get rid of the truth, but just make a film.
Worth mentioning Stephen Graham as well, our great national treasure, who plays Bruce's father. Brilliantly. Really? It doesn't say a great deal. It's his physical acting, because he was a very dark man, Bruce's dad, as we've described, and he gets
having a year, isn't he?
I didn't know Bruce's dad, but apparently it made Bruce emotional when he saw his performance.
Okay, getting back to Graham, and but you might want to we'll swing the mic around, and if he can't see you, we can't see you, but do you think when you've got a talent no, stay where you are, mate. Stay where you are. We're just joined together. Do you think he had such a talent? It's unquestionable. We've all said he was world class. That's difficult, because I thought this basically in the 90s as well. People go, how comes you're not famous? That's a burden, isn't it? Because if everybody's expecting you to be in a higher stature, in the music industry, as your voice should be in the reckoning, that can become a real burden. I thought he dealt with it really well, because I thought it's hard, isn't it? That's hard. Would you agree on that?
Yeah, I do. I think sometimes as well, because I know I had my struggles as well doing what I did. I got a certain amount of the way, but with someone like Graham, who was a great talent, I think finding his vehicle for the thing that would open the door for him was probably what didn't quite happen.
Yeah.
And you need a lot of things to a perfect storm to happen at the right time.
Yeah.
It's a crazy business.
But as you said, as Pete quite rightly said, this is not a criticism, because as far as we're all concerned, he had massive success because he did what he wanted in life, and it's like, and as you know, Del, and and you, Martin, as well as Del, I only briefly know it, is that this sort of holy grail in musicians' minds and in their people who like them and their friends and their family, oh, you must get a record contract. It's not always what it seems.
No.
There's another side to the music industry as well.
Well, going back to Bruce, when he left New Jersey and he had his initial success, not till he had Superstardom, which was born in the USA time, but prior to that, he was really struggling with that because the people he was writing about, he'd sort of left.
Yeah.
And it was a real gap. And I think that exemplifies what can happen in that business.
Yeah.
Even when you make it.
So I don't mean that to be critical of Graham, and because you shouldn't be measured by how many likes you get on a Facebook or how many likes you get on Spotify, how many records you sell. You should be.
He put himself out there. That's all you can do.
Yeah, you should be judged on what the person you were, and he was a fabulous person. And so I really feel for the family, and a difficult time, but what a legacy, and it has. He's inspired me again. I spoke to Dylan, and we've been looking at doing stuff with the Blues Collective. We have never put it on Spotify. I've been looking at doing a sort of documentary more about the 80s, about what Pete was doing in the 80s, about the 80s in Milton Keynes, but have the collective as a narrative, if you get my drift. And I'll do it. You know what it's like. I'll do that one day, and it sort of fired me up to think, no, I'm going to do it now. I've got to do it. Not do it, Graham. That sounds all cheesy, but I want to do it. So we've all got a bit of a legacy.
No, you should, and I'm sure you'll give it with a bit of time.
So thanks,
reflection.
Graham, because even as he's not here, he's inspiring me, and I hope he goes on to his legacy and inspires others. That's me done, really, and I think we'll wrap it up there because we're running out. And your last words on Graham, and I'll bring Dylan up as well. Your last
words on Graham. Well, I really don't know what to say because we weren't close mates or anything, but it's really quite hit me.
Yeah.
And I've had a couple of people like that in the last year or so that sort of you don't expect. If someone is ill, you know someone's ill, but when it just happens like that, you think, no, that can't be right. It can't be right.
Sure.
I'll just remember him to be a great talent, great singer, who didn't get the recognition he probably should have done.
Yeah, I agree with that. And mine, just to quickly sum up.
I think that's fair, what Dale's just said, but I know how difficult it is, but he put himself out there and he had a go, and that's all you can do.
Okay. Yeah, Mike, getting in the mic, Pete, just
and
have a little.
Such a shock with him being, comparatively to people like myself, so young.
Yes,
you don't expect it, we're going to go in sort of chronological order, but life's not like that.
No.
Dylan, you can use that
It's not
mic
linear,
there.
is it?
No. So
sad loss, but a great job. And then lastly to you.
Total shock, obviously. I think for personally, as well as him being just a friend and an absolutely top bloke, he was always, even now, the guy I have in my head when I'm writing a song or when I'm thinking of doing a performance. He's always the guy that I'm hoping will say yes to do it, and to take that away, it's sort of taking my goal away in a way.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Okay. Well, there you go, listeners. I hope I haven't offended anyone. We haven't offended anyone by doing the show. And I apologise if you really wanted to come on it and say something. Perhaps we'll do another one. Perhaps. Well, this is our last show for a while because Dale's off to conquer the world, and I'm off to conquer AI, which is proving to be very interesting. But so I'm sorry. Graham did play with lots of people, and he had so many friends. So I did say at the beginning of the show, to do a proper full-on tribute would take a lot of work, and I haven't got that time at the moment. But I didn't want to let his passing go by without celebrating his legacy and what he did and what a lovely man he was. So thank you for listening. We'll be back in the new year. I hope you have it. As you can tell, Christmas has arrived in our little booth a bit early, I think, but there you go. And I hope you have a great Christmas and have a new year. And like I left last week, don't put anything off in life.